Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we check out GhostRunner. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like. We are inching our way to 500 subs. It's freaking awesome. I just am so appreciative for all of you guys. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing. Let's jump right into the video. So, we are in that awkward, I wouldn't even say awkward, we're in that time period where there's not a whole lot of big games coming out at the moment. And so I have a huge stack of backlog games that I haven't even gotten to play yet. Some big, some small, and I just literally picked a game at random, and GhostRunner was the first one. I got like 20, 30 games that I honestly need to play. Talking about GhostRunner, let's jump right into the story. The story for GhostRunner is fairly simple. You play as Jack, the last GhostRunner, and you're tasked with taking down Mara, or she's otherwise known as the Keymaster. You originally face off against her in the opening cutscene. She rips your arm off and basically tosses you out the window, thinking that you're dead. You are saved by a group called the Climbers, and they rescue you, they fix you up, they attach this new freaking cool robotic arm, and after waking up and having no idea what happened, you just continue right on with your mission to take down Mara. There are quite a few twists and turns in the story, some of which I don't really want to jump into just because I feel like this game really needs to be experienced. So I don't want to spoil them here, even though I know the game's like a year old, whatever. GhostRunner is freaking fast-paced, and it is hard. GhostRunner is probably one of the hardest games that I've played recently, and I have the platinum for almost all the From Software games, minus Elden Ring, which I'm working on. Like I said, this game is extremely fast with a lot of pinpoint precisions with almost everything that you do in this game. From jumping from wall to wall to try to make the next jump to taking out the enemies, like almost everything about this is very pinpoint. Like if you don't get it exactly right, you die. And the enemies, literally all of them minus the bosses, are all one-hit kills. And with that said, so are you. If you mess up, you don't actually kill the guy that's shooting at you, you miss the ledge, you're immediately dead. You're also one-hit kill. Thankfully, the game has many checkpoints, so when you actually do die, you jump right back into it. You don't have to actually start the game, or start the level, I should say, all the way over. That, mixed with the extremely fast load times, makes it so that you can jump back into the action almost immediately. The only weapon that you are given in GhostRunner is a katana. This katana you could use to parry enemies, and if you time it right, you could actually block blaster bolts right back into various enemies. Along with your katana, you can unlock various abilities due to your mechanical arm. Specifically, there are 4 main abilities that you can unlock. The first one you have is Blink, which allows you to target about 3 enemies and insta-kill them as long as they're somewhat lined up. You have to kind of get that right angle, and if you can lock up onto 3 and insta-kill them. You also have Surge, which allows you to lock onto multiple enemies and shoot like a shockwave through your katana, almost like it's like your ranged attack. Overlord, which allows you to actually take control of some of the enemies and have them be on your side for a brief moment of time. And my personal favorite, which is Tempest, which is basically like a force push. You jump onto a big crowd of enemies and you can insta-kill all of them. And even if you time it right, just like the blaster bullets, you can send blaster bullets back, the lasers back. Definitely my favorite out of the 4. Along with unlocking all these abilities, I actually really loved how they structured it. You don't get all these abilities at once, you get them slowly as you go through each of these levels. And at the same time as you're getting these new abilities, there's new enemies that you spawn. You got ones with shields, you got ones that have to be parried, you have ones that you can't actually kill, you have to run away from. But each time you get a new ability, they're almost like tailored to this new, or these enemies are tailored to this new ability. For example, the Blink, which allows you to lock up to like 3 targets at once. The level right after you obtain this ability, there's tons of enemies that are close together. Some of them that are all shooting blaster bullets, and you can actually track the blaster bullets back at the enemies that are farther away. And so there's things like that. Another example is the Overlord. I remember there's one enemy that's kind of off to the side, and there's just a ton of enemies like kind of out in the open, and you can mind control that one and have it basically kill almost all the people for you as you run around and try to hit the shields and unlock them and whatnot. And I really loved how they structured that. So it's always like you're gradually getting these new abilities, and you're gradually getting these tougher enemies, but now you have the tools to take down these enemies. GhostRunner does have an upgrade system, which is kind of like a Tetris board. You got like these Tetris pieces and you kind of mix and match these different abilities on this Tetris board, and as many as you could fit on there is what abilities you have, and what spaces you do have left, there's like a little lightning bolt on the bottom, and that's how fast your recharge is for your abilities. With some of the bigger, more crazier looking pieces being some of your better abilities, but you can't put all of the best abilities on there because they won't all fit. Some of these abilities include like locking onto an extra person with blink, or having the range of the Tempest be a little bit further, or even one that was kind of cool is allowing you to do your ability 2 times before recharge. Overall, the combat here is fast, fluid, and fun. Literally every level in GhostRunner has you jumping from wall to wall, using your grapple, sliding, and using the sensory abilities so you can slow down time to go from one wall to the other, all of which require pinpoint precision, and just the level design of literally every single level, minus one, is super awesome, and it was just fun to just run around and take out these enemies, and I just love how fast it was, and and on top of that, it's extremely difficult, so you have all these enemies that are shooting at you at the same time that you're trying to dodge like a red orb that's on the wall that'll insta-kill you, and it's just crazy how fast all this happens. Like, there's times where I jump right into a room and I'm just like instantly dead. It's just crazy. Some of these levels are insanely difficult, with even some where I died literally like 300 times just on one level alone. But it just feels so good after you pass that part, and it has that checkpoint, so like, thank goodness I don't have to do that part over and over again. I said earlier that all the levels were awesome, and I 100% agree with that. They were all really fun, minus the last level. Whew, the last level, let's see. I was having such a blast with this game from beginning to literally the last level. The last level was so BS. I literally almost quit the game. I kid you not. And my wife can attest. I rage quit on this last level so many times. I think that I died at least over 500 times in total before I actually saw the credits roll, because I'd get to a point and it'd get late and it's like, I've died so many times, but I need to get some sleep. But it doesn't save there, because when you turn the game off, it reloads you from the beginning of the level. It only saves as long as you're still playing the game. And so I literally just, I bet you it's probably more than 500, but this last level was just so BS. The things were so far apart where you literally had to get it exactly perfect with no room for error, and it was just ultimately really frustrating. I wasn't having fun. At this point, I'm like, I have to beat the game because I've already gone this far, and I just have to. And basically the end was kind of anticlimactic anyway. There's no boss fight or anything. I won't spoil what happens because it is a twist, but it's just like that last level was just so tedious, and it really pulled down the overall experience for me. Not enough that I hate the game. Obviously, I still absolutely love it, but just this last level was just utter BS. Speaking of the levels, like we're talking about level design, one of the other levels that I didn't really like at all is you do like these like mine sequences where you're collecting these white orbs. It's during times where you're getting your abilities, and some of them aren't even when you're getting abilities, where you have to collect like 15 orbs. For example, there's this one where you're trying to get these orbs, and they're all in like this spinning, it looks like a bunch of Tetris pieces all jumbled together, and there's like 15 or 13 or 15 orbs on them, and it's very slow, and you have to kind of like, I'm sure I'll put it up on screen for you guys to see. It just didn't match the overall GhostRunner feeling that you've had literally from the beginning up until that point. And there's a few other levels that are kind of like that, where they're, I forget what they call them, but they're like the mind sequences where you're not actually fighting people, you're like inside your mind or something like that. And it just felt so out of place, and just wasn't a big fan of that level. There's no wall jumping, there's no jumping around and doing crazy stuff like you've already been doing in the game. It's like collecting these orbs very slowly, and it just wasn't a lot of fun, honestly. Next up, we have bosses. In this game, there is only 3. I know there is a DLC. I forget what it's called, like Hell's Dominion or something like that. Anyway, you play as one of the bosses, basically. But there are all 3 main bosses, and overall, I thought they were decent. They weren't bad, but they definitely weren't as good as I thought that they were going to be. I thought the Hell boss fight, which is the first one, she is very much like Jack. She's got a samurai sword or a katana, and she can shoot the surge where she's shooting like the shock waves out of her sword and whatnot. And I actually thought that boss fight was pretty fun. You have to parry her so many times before you can, I guess, stun her so that you can get a riposte. I thought that boss fight was cool. The boss fight right after that is not even really a boss fight, but it is, I guess, is like this giant like generator tower thing where you have to basically scale all the way up it to cut the cords. And while it's doing that, it's shooting tons of lasers. There's very little platforming, and I actually thought that that boss fight was fun, trying to like basically feel like Spider-Man shooting your grapple to get all the way up it. But it's not really a boss fight. You're just getting to the top, cutting the corners. When it falls down, you basically have to jump over the shock waves as it's shooting lasers. So it almost like a bullet hell, almost like Returnal, where there's just so much going on, but you're just trying to jump around them to get close enough to land a hit. And I guess that was a boss fight. And then the last boss fight is Mara, the Keymaster. She's basically got like the Doc Ock arms, except for she has 6. I thought that boss fight was going to be better than it was, and I think that boss fight was probably my least favorite out of the 3. It just seemed like it went by really quick. It wasn't as difficult as the other 2. I feel like it took me a lot more tries to beat these other 2s than this one. But overall, they weren't bad. They just weren't super memorable, if that makes sense. I'm having trouble trying to think of the right word. But they were decent. That's what I would say. The bosses in this game were decent. My final thoughts. GhostRunner is freaking awesome. Yes, I have my little nitpickies about the bosses and some of the levels. But overall, my overall experience is, dude, this game was freaking awesome. And I don't know why I didn't play this when it came out. But this game is so freaking awesome. I love the cyberpunk world that it has. I love the speed. I love the combat. I love the abilities. I love the levels where you're jumping from wall to wall very fast, like boom, 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 and then doing your grapple to jump to another ledge. It's just all super fun. Like I said, the bosses are decent. They're okay. And other than that last level in GhostRunner and some of the few like mine sequences, most of the levels were freaking awesome. Overall, I would give GhostRunner an 8 out of 10. This game was so fun. If you guys have not played it, I highly, highly, highly recommend go playing it. I know it was free on the PlayStation Plus a few months ago, so if you managed to pick that up, definitely go play it. It is definitely worth your time. I had a blast. That is going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We are inching our way to 500 subscribers. And I am so grateful for all of you guys taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. You guys are awesome. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of the video, what you thought of GhostRunner, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.